And now a word from our sponsors. We are listener-sponsored, and we appreciate your donations. If you like the show, please visit OppermanReport.com and click on the donate button. Or you can donate directly through PayPal at OppermanReport@gmail.com. We have Mike Ray of InfinityHomePlans.com. He's the host of Parlay over at CJ Mars Radio, Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you need custom home designs, stock plans, or 3D work, he's your one-stop shop for home design and drafting needs. Mike Gray at InfinityHomePlans.com. At InfinityHomePlans.com. If you're looking for essential oils, stop by and check out Essentially Tammy on Facebook. She is Young Living Essential Oils Independent Distributor. Now, these are 100% therapeutic grade oils. They help support the body's natural functions. You can visit her website posted on Essentially Tammy to see the current deals, or email at JocoTammy, JoCaTami @yahoo.com, or call 352-239-8546. 352-239-8546. Hey, if you need a private investigator, go to my website, emailrevealer.com. We offer asset searches, locates, skip tracing, adoption investigations, online infidelity investigations. We can recover deleted text messages from a cell phone or trace an email to online dating websites to catch people cheating. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can call 800-572-9762. 800-572-9762 for emailrevealer.com, my PI website. Pacific West Bamboo. It's your premier source for construction and craft-grade bamboo poles. They're announcing their latest project with EcoHead Event Sanitation, making bamboo composting bathrooms and porta potties. Their first display will be at the Lucidity Festival in Santa Ynez, California, April 11th to the 13th. Come by and say hi and see what you can build with bamboo. Contact them for any kind of event planning, display building. If you need construction grade or craft grade bamboo products, call Amanda at 503-839-8126, 503-839-8126, or visit PacificWestBamboo.com, their brand new website. We're also sponsored by the New World Mexican Women. This is a rural Mexican craft women's cooperative. They are traditional makers of fine handcrafted, authentic jewelry. They use beautiful stone mosaics and Pacific blue Abilene inlay. They have a wonderful book of love letters written to their men in the United States, begging them to return to their families in Mexico. But they've written a new book, and it's about a young girl that falls in love with a rodeo bull rider and runs off with him without telling her family. It's a beautiful love story called Azucena Part 1, Azucena to the Rodeo. You can find their books and jewelry by clicking on their banner ad at OppermanReport.com or by Googling New World Mexican Women. You can also promote your business or website right here and have your ad played all over the world 7 days a week by emailing OppermanReport@gmail.com or calling 800-572-9762. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Don't forget the show is brought to you by Audible.com. You go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. You sign up for free, get a free audiobook. Get a whole bunch of free audiobooks, all you want for a whole month. We're here with St. John Hunt. He's the son of E. Howard Hunt. E. Howard Hunt is the Watergate, is the CIA agent. This guy was involved with the murder of Che Guevara. He was involved with several overthrows, the Bay of Pigs. He got arrested at the Watergate break-in. And then later on, he turns out he confesses. He was suspected a long time of being one of the JFK assassins, but he confessed on his deathbed. He made a videotape a statement to his son, St. John Hunt, who's the author of Bond of Secrecy, and there's a link to that on the Opperman Report blog. Okay, Mr. Hunt. So now,
yes,
I guess we're getting to the point where Watergate kind of blows over. Things are quiet in your life, right? Would you say your life ever got quiet with your dad?
Yeah, I made it a point to visit him every year, or sometimes every couple of years at his various homes. When he moved, after he got out of prison, he married Laura Martin, and they moved to Guadalajara, Mexico, and I went down and stayed with them for a month or so. And there's an interesting anecdote I can tell you about his my experience with my father in Guadalajara. Well, there was he had a nice big house in a neighborhood, and across the street was another large house. And up on the roof of this place across the street was this cage in which the owner of the house was keeping some chickens, roosters, and things. And every morning at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, this rooster would crow. And he crowed very, very loudly. And my father just wasn't happy about this at all. So after much thinking about the whole thing, he concocted a little escapade of his own to have the rooster liquidated. And what he did was he froze some chicken feed with some poison, some rat poison, and formed it into a little ball. And then with water, he froze it, and then he used a slingshot to sling it over into the cage where the rooster was. And lo and behold, as the sun came up, the ice melted, and the rooster took the bait. Never to be heard of since.
And I bet they arrested some poor sap, and he got shot the next day, right?
I don't know. So I think his CIA mind was still pretty sharp in the years after Watergate. But now I've lost the thread of what you asked me. But
that's pretty much what I was asking you. You know, what happened after that? What did he do after that? I guess, and then he was writing all these books. You said he wrote 80 books, right? Yeah,
he wrote over 80 books that were published, probably 2 a year, until his death, which he was working on a book with me called American Spy. And we finished it up after he passed away, although I was no longer part of that project after he died. The lawyers just came in and it shut everything down. And another book, another autobiography of false truths and rewriting history, came about. That book is absolutely worthless as a book can get. That tells its readers that this is the truth, and when in fact it's not at all. So I was very disappointed and upset that ended up like that. But published many books. So he was a full-time writer after that, and I think he did a few lectures, but he wasn't really big on the lecture circuit. He didn't really like to travel around too much. He wanted to be home with his new wife and his new children and be there for them. And I got to hand it to him. He completely turned his life around. When I was growing up with him and my brothers and sisters, he just wasn't there. He was involved in all these, nationally and internationally important historical situations, countries being overthrown, assassination attempts, both successful and unsuccessful on foreign leaders, and all kinds of stuff like that. So he had a second chance to reinvent himself as a stay-at-home writer and a stay-at-home dad while his wife worked, and that's what he did, and he did it well. And his children are his second family shows that they benefited greatly from having my father, the new E. Howard Hunt, around as a full-time dad, and that was a wonderful thing for him to do.
Now, what did your dad make of when he saw G. Gordon Liddy running around doing those speeches with Timothy Leary and doing those lecture tours? Did he ever have a comment about that?
Yeah, he did. He and Gordon broke ties when Gordon's book Will came out, and he said that in the book Will there was several references about my father, about him that were untrue and or exaggerated, and he never stayed friends with Gordon after he got out of prison and after Gordon got out of prison. They both served really long, the longest sentences of any of the Watergate defendants, my father and G. Gordon Liddy. They'd had a very close relationship for a very short period of time, and then when Watergate broke and they ended up serving their time, there was a bad taste in their mouths, and they blamed each other for different things. Howard, if you hadn't have done this, or my father would say, well, Gordon, if this hadn't happened, if you hadn't pushed for the completion of the mission, then we'd all be fine, or whatever. But they never remained friends after that. It was a bitter time for them.
But it's kind of funny because now Leary, Timothy Leary, who was the electric circuit partner with his former cop that busted him, Liddy, what the hell is going on there with that? But he kind of fits into the motivation for some of the JFK assassins as well, right? Wasn't McCord, was it? Whose wife was having an affair with JFK?
No, actually, it was not McCord's wife. Another gentleman with the name starting with M. It was Cord Meyer.
Cord Meyer
Cord Meyer was a top CIA intelligence official who was stationed in Rome and in England prior to that, and then he became involved in Italy. But Cord's wife, Mary Meyer, was a Georgetown socialite and somewhat of an artiste on the local cocktail circuit of the diplomats and foreign get-togethers at embassies and whatnot. She became JFK's mistress for a long time, steady mistress. They not only spent stolen hours and nights together having sex, but they also experimented in marijuana and LSD. And JFK confided in her. She kept a notebook. In her, which she hid in her library in a false compartment in her library at her home in Georgetown. And she divorced Cord during the time that she was JFK's mistress, because Cord was, Mary Meyer in her development, her psychological development through marijuana and LSD, no longer was impressed with Cord's service in the CIA and looked at Cord as being an evil type of person, as she did the CIA. But they were divorced, and Cord then had a personal vendetta against JFK, and that's why that he was in on the very beginnings of a plot to have JFK removed, which eventually my dad was included in on. And JFK was just not liked by the CIA at all. Nobody liked him. But yeah, Mary Meyer is the lady that you're referring to, not McCord's wife, but Cord Meyer's wife. She was murdered eventually, right after the assassination, as a matter of fact, within less than a year, I believe, supposedly by an individual who mugged her as she was jogging or walking her dog on the Georgetown towpath alongside the canal. But that whole investigation and the whole apprehension of this one gentleman was viewed very, very suspiciously. And as it turned out, my father told me that the same night she had been murdered, James Angleton, who was the CIA's chief of counterintelligence, in other words, he would try to determine whether an agent who had come from the KGB to the CIA was in fact a real agent or a double agent, and Angleton was known to be a very spooky individual, friends with my father, of course, on a professional level,